Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IAS. Today we are on a current affair live, okay, which means we will be discussing the monthly compilations of months. We have finished June. If you haven't seen, go check out the description box, the link will be provided for you. This month, okay, or at least in today's current affair video live, we will be discussing about your July month compilation, okay, wherein we will be discussing the important aspects, whatever happened in the July month, which is important to you from your exam perspective. Now, when I say exam perspective, it includes all three stages, your prelims, mains, interview, okay. So, the current affairs is curated to be holistic and to suit the demand specifically for your UPSC preparations, okay. Watch and make the most out of it. Also, one main thing is, let's keep this class as engaged as possible rather than just one side conversation. Both of us will have an equal conversations, okay. We'll get started, alright. Okay. The very first topic that we will be discussing in today's class, okay, will be about Delhi Urban Land and Immovable Property Records Bill 2024, okay. See, whenever, as the name states, before anything else we go ahead, look at this, whenever it is a bill, first main thing you have to understand is the difference between a bill and a law, okay. A bill is more like a proposal, okay. A bill is more like a proposal, okay, to bring about a certain change, okay, in the due course of time. In the due course of time, it may get accepted or rejected, okay. In the due course of time, it may get accepted or it may get rejected, fine. But whereas a law, okay, when the same proposal which is proposing any changes gets accepted, the next stage we said, if the proposal which is containing certain change will get accepted, accepted meaning passed by the Lok Sabha, passed by the Rajya Sabha, as the president assent, understanding, then it becomes a law. So, when accepted, this becomes more of like a rule, okay, meaning you have to follow, okay. To be more specific, okay, it is a legislative rule, think of it like that, understanding. So, when we brought in Delhi Urban, okay, Land and Immovable Property Records Bill, this is still a proposal, okay, this is still a proposal. Why now in 2024 they are thinking to bring this proposal, okay, in Delhi, okay. One of the main reasons being, okay, your Delhi, that is your national capital territory, the land of that particular place, okay, or the concept of property, urban, rural, yeah, both will be there. Land means, and that especially in a city, especially in a tier 1 city, you have both urban, rural, yeah. If you say tier 1 city, you might get the hint that urban will be on a more larger scale. So, in this condition, the one who manages this land, okay, especially for Delhi, the unique case is multiple authorities are managing it, which becomes little bit difficult. A proper records to hold it in place is also very difficult. You may see, wait, land, urban land, okay, for this why is parliament being concerned? That is a stateless thing, right? No. Your land is, okay, especially in your national capital territory, it comes under your parliament, understanding. So, according to which ministry does it come under? Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Okay. What is the key aspect of bringing forward this bill? It is to make sure bring all urban land and building records under one single authority. How is it now? Multiple authorities, okay, are involved in land records, maintenance of land, maintenance of urban land, etc. Understanding? So, this bill speaks about that. Okay. It is still in the proposal stage, which means it is not yet an act. Fine. One of the things, because we are on this topic, what are the major impediments in urban planning in India? Foremost, lack of accurate and usable maps. Your Niti Aayog, which is nothing but a think tank of India, yes, whose main thing is to foster cooperative development, okay, whose main aim is to foster cooperative federalism or cooperative development among center and states. Okay. It has come up with a report which states urban planning capacity in India, which seeks many major cities. Okay, it is not speaking about any cities which are in very remote areas. Speak about major cities, okay, lack accurate and usable maps. Okay. Another thing is record of rights, meaning understand what record of rights in a very simpler sense. You have a property, movable, immovable, agricultural, fallow, building, etc. You need to have a proper set of documents stating this land is so and so. Is this land coming under, okay, habitation, or is this land coming under agriculture? Okay. I think the video is buffering. Let me just have the technical ones look at it. Yeah, now it's resolved. Alright, we'll get back on track. So, what were we talking about? We were talking about record of rights. So, you need to have a record, okay, as to what is up with this land. See, speaking on the record of rights, your Kottapalya, okay, in Arthashastra, Kottapalya in Arthashastra had held one important thing. It is very, very important to scale up your land. It is very important to know what and how the land is, so that you can levy tax based on that. Okay. Once you don't scale something, you don't get any income from it. Okay, or voluntarily the leakages are happening in a manner. Okay, this is the whole thing. If you don't scale, if you don't measure, if you don't know the statistics, then leakages are happening. Now, when we mean leakages, adequate proper functioning of the system is not happening. Okay, think of it like a common story. Okay, it's a very old story. A pot, okay, let's say it's leaking, let's say some grains are there. So, what happened? A small hole is seen. Okay, you have two options: either immediately repair it, yeah, otherwise leave it telling, "Arey, ha, small hole only na, little bit is only going na." But imagine if the same thing, okay, because it is incompetent only, it's leaking in the first place. Yeah, if it now left like that only, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually your entire crop could be lost. Similar thing is the concept with scaling. Scaling is very important, and the similar thing is very important with respect to record of rights, which means you need to scale and have a record of it for effective functioning, effective implementation. Okay. Another thing is the datas. okay, as to how the land is being used, okay, what new things have come up, etc., are either non-existent in the maps or not updated. Another thing is alignment of spatial plans with land records is absent, and this is very, very, very important in the 21st century, especially if we have the concept of smart cities going on, if we have the concept of sustainable cities going on. Usually where are these things focused? In your urban area only, right? So, if we ever have the dream to visualize these things, then one of the main things we have to do is align the spatial plans with land records, meaning utilization. Okay, we keep claiming, yes, again this is a recent current affair that we tested hypersonic missiles. So, when we are that developed and we are not even using that information here, then what is the point? Yes. So, holistic all round development has to take place, means we have to make sure spatial plans with land records have to be merged. Fine? Understanding up until here? The current issue with respect to National Capital Territory, okay, it covers almost, okay, 1483 square kilometers, amidst which 1100 odd square kilometers are your urban areas. Understanding? And the management of land records, which organization is looking after land records? That is a multi-body. With respect to land and maintenance of land records, etc., it has become a multi-body approach. Excuse me. Okay. Again, this is like a simple saying, too many hands spoil the dish. Yeah. Same thing here also. Too many authorities on one single thing is not being able to be effectively implemented. To reduce all this is where the bill is proposed. Fine. Rural areas, land areas are managed by your Delhi Land Reforms Act 1954 and Punjab Land Revenue Act of 1887. Whereas your land records, urban areas especially, I told you it's a multi-member body. It is managed by your Revenue Department, NDMC, MCD, LND, ODDA, okay. So, can you see how many authorities are there? Now, this is the right thing when we used too many hands spoil the dish. Now, these are the too many hands. The bill is proposed at bringing it down to one authority. The bill proposes establishment of a single authority, okay. The Delhi Urban Lands and Immovable Property Records Authority will be set up, and it will be the one body that will maintain, or this authority will maintain the urban land records. Understanding? And it will be chaired by the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi. Understood? Clear up until here? Yes? We will move on to the next topic. Look at this. ANI sues Wikipedia over allegedly defamatory content. Okay? Your ANI means your Asian News Channel, okay, which has filed a lawsuit in the Delhi High Court. Okay, this is the right current affair that I have picked it and put it here, just to know we can have an understanding as to what the content is, on what context it has come in current affairs, and how is it useful for UPSC. Okay. So, ANI has filed a lawsuit against Delhi High Court, filed a case to Delhi High Court against Wikipedia, accusing that the platform was hosting allegedly defamatory content. Fine? Now, whenever this particular issue takes place, okay, defamatory content, third party service, these are the keywords that you have to know. Well, these are the keywords. Okay. One thing you mainly have to know is that, okay, your courts have, we will see further down the class also, your courts have approached this model where if it is something remedial, okay, which means if you can find remedy wherein you tell the person to take it down and it hasn't hurt you or your interests, then you should probably do that over bringing these kind of things. What do I mean by this? You will understand further. Look at this. What are the legal basis for this defamation and all these things we speak? Under your IT Act of 2000, first of all, there is a definition of something called as intermediary under section 2 of 1, which defines intermediaries as entities that handle electronic records on behalf of others. Okay. Safe harbor clause according to section 79 provides legal protection to intermediaries. Understanding? Now, you will understand it here. The Supreme Court ruling with related to Wikipedia in this particular case, Ayurvedic Medicine Manufacturer Organization of India versus Wikipedia Foundation case, where court advised petitioner to either edit the article or seek legal remedies through appropriate channels. See, look at this. Edit the article. If it is changeable, then do that. Do that first. Understanding? So, more of a corrective action. A corrective action is suggested. Understood? Clear up until here? Any doubt? Fine. Shall we move ahead? Okay. The next topic, importance of census for addressing discrimination. See, this particular topic, when it came into current affairs, this was not a current affairs topic that was per se with respect to India, but because it was a current affair topic with regard to census, we will see it from India's perspective also. We will see what was it which originally brought this into current affairs. Look at this. According to Peter Drucker, only what gets measured gets managed. See, in this particular quote applies for also that land record topic that we were discussing of your NCT, yeah, which is true. Only what gets measured gets managed, especially in physical versions of, okay, wealth, land, property. Yes. Look at this. This is the reason why it came to current affairs. Lack of racial data in Germany's census put black communities at a disadvantage. How do they know it? Afrocensus survey initiated by black people in 2020 exposed the extensive institutional anti-black racism in Germany. Now this begs the question. No country is a homogeneous group. Okay. Even if they claim they are a homogeneous group, there would be elements of difference. Only when there is element of difference is when the element of diversity will come in. Okay. Only when this diversity is taken in a positive manner and approached and handled in a pro attitude can you expect unity, integrity and security. All these three trifactor are very, very important for a nation's existence. If a nation has to exist, then back channel, what is it? You have to make sure you are going to take diversity in a positive way. For that, first you have to understand what is the difference. To understand what is the difference is why census is to be created. Understanding? Now we'll come to India perspective. Now let's say how we have been having census. Okay, we have been having census, but let's take with respect to the concept of difference or diversity. Then it brings forward the million buck question. Constantly debate topic, caste census or socio-economic census. Understanding? This is how you have to be converting a current affair, or how it gets converted as a current affair to a possible question in prelims, mains or interview. Understanding? Clear up until here? Any doubts? We'll move ahead. We'll speak now about the census concept in India. First and foremost, your first census was in 1881. By that time, your Lord Mayo, who was the viceroy, okay, 1881 pe we had the first census in India, and it was during the British period, or what they refer to as British India. What does your census do? It provides information on size, distribution, socio-economic, demographic, okay, characteristics of a country, which are very important. Again, what can't be measured cannot be managed well, especially in physical terms. Fine? Now, the 2001 census, okay. See, 2001 census had to take place, but it didn't take place. Again, why? Because pandemic. So we still refer to the 2011 census data. When the 2021 census, okay, when the 2021 census is going to take place, it is going to take place in 18 of the 22 scheduled languages, okay. Now, usually in the gender category, if you see, it is male, female and other. Yes, this was how it was normally, but now it is going to be male, female and third gender. Okay, this is going to be the change. Now, when it comes to India census, it is conducted by the Office of Registrar General, okay. It comes under your Ministry of Home Affairs. The act according to which our census is conducted is Census Act of 1948. This is very important. Understanding? What is the significance of census? It provides a statistical analysis, meaning this is why is this important is, see, ours is a welfare state, okay. Our economy is a mixed economy, okay. We are a welfare state with mixed economy, meaning it is inevitable in any developed countries or developing countries, the concept of rich poor is going to exist. A rich poor divide is going to be there. But what a state can aspire to do, at least, okay, in a democracy we feel that this is what they have to aspire to do, is reduce the difference between, or reduce the gap between your rich and poor, okay. Extreme amount of income inequality should not be there, which means detrimental, outright detrimental to the society. Okay, this creates a feeling of alienation, like you don't belong, or whatever happens in this world, the government so called are not there to cater for your needs. But the whole point is we are a welfare state, which means mixed, first we will take this, mixed economy means there will be private players, there will also be public players, that means your government will also hold a share. When you are private, see whole concept of private is not concerned about doing all the good things, deeds in their heart. One main thing is profit. Yes, I am not telling that is the only thing. We have started CSR initiatives, companies are being mindful, not all, but yes, there are few. But you can't rely on the fate of majority of the people on their will, or they may probably do that. On that odds you can't leave that, it is a very big ask. So what a government tries to do is it tries to provide for the people who are not able to provide for them, or at least act as a pedestal so that they can rise up to a stage where they can do it for themselves. Yes. So this census becomes important to identify who is the targeted, or who is the targeted audience that I have to be giving certain privileges, or that additional step or pedestal is what we mentioned, so that it will go reach the target audience or intended audience. For example, we have PDS system. Your BPL families, Antyodaya families can avail food grains at a very much subsidized rate. Yes. Now if the state decides, no, for everyone I am going to be giving subsidized rates, that is not smart, that is not good, that is not going to sustain the nation. Rather it will break down the nation into bits and pieces. But this is very better compared to letting people either go into hunger, starvation and death. This is better. Even with this itself we face that scenario, that is a different topic altogether. But this is to make sure it reaches the target audience, that is you have prosperity in the country alongside development. Understanding, when we say development, it is development of people or the society as a whole. Okay. So when we say we are a welfare society, or we are going to say we are a mixed economy, we should be making sure that yes, prosperity and development should happen hand in hand. Okay, rather than how it is usually is prosperity versus development it becomes. Understanding? Now this is not good for the society, this will break down the society, this will create alienation. Okay, in no way it is not favorable for either the prosperity or the development perspective. Understanding? So prosperity and development have to go hand in hand. So for that reason census is important, and this is the statistical analysis that is needed, or basically the data is needed very much. Okay. Again, subsequent of this, it is for planning and development. Another thing is, main thing about your census is for delimitation and representation. If India, while independent, when it got independence, it was not at a stage to give a lot of rights. When I say lot of rights, it does not mean for your fundamental rights. It means 3 rights are very important for a human being. Okay, that is so natural, so inalienable that he cannot be removed from that rights. If you strip away those rights from him, then you are stripping away the human concept from him, or you are stripping away the concept of man as a social animal. You are stripping away the man, you are stripping away the social. So what is he left with? Animal. Right. So what are those important rights is, first social rights, second economic rights, third political rights. When we were to get independence, the constitution makers or framers of our constitution decided that we will be giving only political rights to our people, not economic, not social. Many main proponents of the constitution, for example, when I say main proponents, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar himself was not happy with the way constitution turned out. When I say not happy, he pointed out, unless and until we give social and economic rights, again here we are not speaking about give a social and economic right to every single person, no, but to certain marginalized section, certain communities which have faced discrimination for ages, okay, for example your SC, ST, women, yeah. So when you just give them political rights and not economic rights and okay social rights, it becomes very difficult for them to sustain. You are actually not giving the whole concept of rights. Now we brought this topic in is because, see, when we say delimitation, your country is divided into constituencies where people get, again we have reservation in that, that is okay, your right to contest elections and right to vote, okay, becomes the main crucible of your political right. So to make that political right, at least the one thing that was given to us, again why didn't those people give? Because at that point of time they didn't have the ability to give. Understanding? See, this particular topic has both sides to the discussion. One side we can discuss, no matter what they should have given this. You know, there's one section that states that when they were able to give private purse, they should also been able to give social and economic rights to the certain marginalized section of people, at least if not all, for majority of the people who are suffered ages of discrimination. And the other side that tells the country when in 1947 is not something that was so easy that we just sit today and comment on it. It had to face partition. It had to face the brunt force of famines, constant famines. Population was growing out of control. Severity in hunger, death, malnutrition, child stunting, maternal death, infant death, alongside this death due to preventable diseases. Partition on to add on woes on this, and British asking for money. We created apparently loss with them, and amidst all this communal tensions, the GDP of the country was not even to be called the GDP of the country because it was extremely fallen back. The resources were not enough to feed the mouths. Amidst this they had to create something called as India under one union. So when we say union of states, it was not an easy thing to form for them. Those were the people who were ready to give up their lives, and they have given up their lives to form something called as India. And we, if we were put in the same place, we don't know how many of us would be ready to do that sacrifice, whereas they, without batting an eyelid, were ready to give up their lives for the country. I am not telling we are not going to do that, they did it, but we cannot judge the fact that for people who gave up their lives to give the land what we have today, it is not very easy to judge. Yes, the argument is true. Social and economic right, at least to basic decency, if you have to secure, or the Article 21 dignity of life, if it has to be secured, then you have to give them. Political right alone is not going to accomplish it, that is for sure. Social and economic right is very mandatorily had to be given, at least for the depressed sections, women, STs, physically disabled. So the list will keep on adding, because it is true, these sections need that support. Yes, so to make sure at least any of the basic right, your political will, your political right is met, or even if you have to get your social right, or even if you have to get your economic right. So basically, if the whole concept of rights have to be visualized, the one way to do that, census, because you need data. Again, I told you, you can't just give blanket, you can't just give blanket of excuse me, blanket of resources to everyone, telling I am going to give it to everyone. That is just foolishness, because the nation can't survive. When I'm telling foolishness, it's not that it should not be given, it's just I'm telling you cannot practically give it and let the nation continue. But what you can give is, give everyone the ability to do that for themselves. Excuse me. The issue is, out of no mistake of their own, okay, people have been stripped from that ability to do things of their own. Excuse me. Like we spoke, it's important for grants and resource allocation. Okay. Why do we need caste census? Social structure significance, policy implications. For example, we have multiple, okay, welfare oriented policies. Which are meant for certain sections in the society. Okay. Benefits of detailed caste data and control of resources. Now, when we say control of resources, for example, OBCs were to get reservation, but again in here you could not give blanket resources or for the entire community we couldn't give that. That is why the concept or the debate about creamy layer versus non-creamy layer debate came in. Okay. So, for all of these things, the caste census data is considered important. There are again disadvantages to this. Again, like we said, there are both sides to an argument. We will see what the disadvantages are. Before that, write down all these things. Done? Okay. So, whenever you enter in to watch the video, just drop in a hi so that I know you guys are there. Okay. Fine. We'll get going. What are the possible disadvantages of caste census? Potential for social division, meaning there is a possibility, okay, furthermore divisions or discriminations could happen. Okay. Another thing is with respect to your reservation concerns. When we say reservation concerns, when we do come to know the actual data, what if they ask for increased reservation? See, your concept of reservation was meant to be temporary. But if you see the growing trend where each section is just fighting, okay, recently we had your EWS quota. Now, the debate is not about whether it was right or wrong. The debate is about the fact that, okay, a reservation is an ongoing battle. People are constantly claiming, fighting for more reservation. Amidst that, when the fear is if the caste census data comes out, what if they end up asking for more reservation? Already Supreme Court had capped it at 50% in your Indira Sawhney case. Yeah. But what is happening is states are still fighting. Many states are telling, certain states are claiming we need 80% reservation. Certain states are claiming we need 64% of reservations. So, the reservation topic is an ongoing battle wherein, okay, more and more demand is made for reservation rather than for it being a temporary fix to be reduced. In the way that we are going, it doesn't appear like we are asking or somewhere down the lane will reduce it, but rather we are trying to increase it. One of the fears is potentially, possibly, this might lead to an agitation to lead to higher reservation. Understood? Another thing is administrative feasibility, again that also becomes an issue. Alright, let me just check the online. Okay, clear up until here, right? Any doubts? Anything you didn't understand? We'll move ahead. The OBC inclusion in census, we discussed this. They get reservation in education and public employment. They are entitled for reservation according to Article 15 of 4 and 16 of 4, and this is no way, that is your reservation is in no way considered as violation to your right to equality. Or Article 14. Understanding? So, they give the reservation under Article 15 of 4 and 16 of 4. According to Mandal Commission report, 27% of reservation to be given to your OBCs. Fine. Another thing is for electoral representation and your judicial requirement also, again which claims that, right? Clear up until here, no? We'll move ahead. They have tried to create your socio-economic caste census data, but in 2011 when they tried, it failed, okay, because they tried to conduct this outside the purview of your Census Act of 1948. Understanding? So, now when we are telling again, if census your socio-economic caste census data, if it has to be conducted, then it has to be conducted under the ambit of your existing act. Meaning 2011 pay, they try to do it out of your executive interest, okay. But let us say another period of decade later, that executive may not have the interest to conduct that. So, you do not let conducting, if at all you want to successfully conduct, look at this, failed attempt. If at all you want to be successful in your attempt to create a caste census, first and foremost what you have to do is, okay, amend the Census Act of 1984 to 1948. You all know this, okay. To make sure you do not leave this caste data to your executive discretion. That is, if they have an interest, they will do. If they don't have an interest, they will not do. Okay, so do not leave. If you have to be successful, now the debate that we are having is not, okay, is not whether we should conduct census data or not. The debate is as to, if at all you want to conduct a successful attempt in caste census data, then you have to make sure that, okay, you do not leave it to the executive discretion, but rather you mandate it or make it compulsory alongside your census data, if at all you want to successfully navigate the challenge of census data alongside your caste data. Understanding? Clear up until here? Any doubts? Okay. Another main thing is the way the data collection, okay, should have ICT involved, okay, which means you have to involve technology. Okay, first and foremost is the previous failed attempt पे the questionnaire, okay, the questionnaire itself has to be properly prepared, so much so that it has the names of your castes, subcastes and surnames, your caste data, census data alongside it, and not leave it up to your executive discretion. Second thing is the questionnaires whichever is going to have should have proper listing, and the questions have to be formed in such a manner that it includes your caste, subcaste, surnames, all of these details must be included. And third most important thing is to make sure that you integrate technology in your data collection. So these are the three main challenges which has to be addressed going forward if you have, okay, having to conduct a successful caste census data. Clear up until here? Any doubts? Anything you're not understanding? Fine. We'll move ahead. The next topic is excuse me, menstrual leave policies. Okay. This is a very debated topic. This came into discussion. Okay. Again, people have very differing views on this, and we can't tell exactly, okay, or we can't just put a pin on it and tell this is correct, this is not correct, Both sides of the argument have weights to it, which makes it difficult to come to a conclusion. Fine? Now, menstrual leave policies. Supreme Court has asked the central government to frame a model policy on menstrual leave for female employees. Okay. Now, first and foremost, when we are discussing these topics, you do not consider yourself as someone, whether this is a tabooistic topic, whether this is belonging to other gender topic, none of those. You are a UPSC aspirant. Okay. So have the broader mindset and do understand the perspectives of how the society is functioning, what are the issues facing, because tomorrow when you are going to become a lawmaker or a person who is going to assist in lawmaking, or at least whose executive actions is going to affect people, okay. Just give me a moment, there are some technical issues that we have to see. Apparently there is some voice issues. Is it audible now, guys? Fine. Hope the voice issue is resolved. Shall we move ahead? Yeah. So coming back to the menstrual leave policy. Like I told you, if your action is going to affect, it is not going to affect people of just your gender, it is going to affect your citizens under your jurisdiction. That includes everyone. Yes. So, amidst that you have to know, okay, the challenges, difficulties, etc. of everything. That also includes you having to know about your menstrual leave policy. The debate is again a very two-sided one. You can't just pick one side for this. Before entering into the specifics, let's just see two perspectives. For people who are going for pro-menstrual leave and against menstrual leave. Okay. I am going to give basic facts, very simple, primitive facts. Now, you have to tell me in the comment section as to what do you think, okay, whether paid menstrual leave should be given or should not be given, or otherwise menstrual leave should be given or should not be given concept. Your arguers of pro menstrual leave, okay, they are claiming that majority times, if at all, women or college going students etc. take leaves, okay, it is during your menstruation time, okay. Another thing is, each person's body is different. True, that is true. Each person's menstrual cycle is also different. Some people will have excessive pains, cramps, so much so that they can't even stand up and walk, tired, hungry, sweat, all these things put together. They find it very, very difficult to be productive or resume their daily activities. It makes it very difficult for them, okay. So, adding excess strain on top of that will make only matters worse, okay. So, it would be better if we end up giving them leave, okay, and if it is a paid leave, they don't have to worry about the fact that, okay, they have to forcibly come, okay. If the debate is like, if you are like 1 day, 2 days, the debate is at least we include the discussion of giving. The against menstrual leave side. One of the things the against section is claiming is, people with, again they also accepting that, each person or each body type is different, each person has a different way of coping to the menstrual. Let me just see, there was some technical glitch, fine, okay. So, the women will somehow manage it with over the counter medicines for pain management. Women will somehow manage it with over the counter pain management medicines for pain management. And another thing is, they have been doing it before, they will be able to do it now also. The reason they are giving this kind of statements is, if at all there comes a policy which mandates that you have to give per month, let us say 2 leaves, paid leaves alongside existing leaves, then the companies, the institutions, okay, or anyone who is going to employ will now look at hiring women as a difficulty, hiring women as a disadvantage. Already this section is now of the view that already they have to face a lot of discrimination. Already people are not wanting to employ female women adequately comparatively to their male counterpart. Upon that, if you bring laws and policies like that, this will aid them to not hire, or at least have a discriminatory tendency to not hire women. Understanding? That is also true to an extent. You cannot deny both the facts. Both the facts are true only. Yes, both the facts are of the opinion that if any of the way we try to deal with the situation, there will be certain things which would in turn put a disadvantage. Okay, let's see how it is panning out. So what is basically menstrual leave? Policies that allow employees or students to take time off when they are experiencing menstrual pain or discomfort. Includes both paid as well as unpaid leave. With respect to India, there is no national policy there is no national policy with regard to menstrual leave, and they have left it for the states to decide. That is why Supreme Court is now telling Parliament to come up with a model policy. Clear? So, each state will have a different approach. Okay? We will see how it is. For example, Bihar introduced the concept of menstrual leave in 1992. 2 days of menstrual leave they would get per month for female employees. Whereas in Kerala, they extended the menstrual leave to female students across universities and institutions. Okay? Now, your corporate initiatives like, for example, your Zomato, Swiggy, Byju's, all of these people and all have taken initiatives to give menstrual leaves. The proposed law in the Parliament, which was Menstruation Benefits Bill, and both were proposed but they were not passed. So, this is on terms with what is the efforts that Parliament took with respect to this previously. 2017-2018 they introduced the bills, but it was not passed. Fine. Now, we will see this, where they have introduced a bill called A Right of Women to Menstrual Leave and Free Access to Menstrual Health Products Bill of 2022, which proposes 3 days of paid menstrual leave for women and trans women. Understanding? Again, like we discussed in the very beginning of the stage, it is still at proposal stage. See, the irony is, this is the biggest irony. Now, when I say irony, this is a very hard hitting reality which is difficult for common people. Yes, this law to bring itself is very difficult. Yeah. Alongside that, if we already have one law with respect to women, it is your maternity, according to which you get paid maternity leave. Now, whenever we speak of this paid maternity leave, paid menstrual leave, all this applies to only formal sectors. And even in formal sectors, only the regulated formal sectors. Okay. Even what appears like formal sectors get masked because it is unregulated. So, not when we say it is menstrual bill, maternity leave, not every woman gets access of this. Okay. And when we say not every woman, not majority of women get access to this. This is the plight of the situation of women in India. Majority of them are in either informal sectors or unregulated sectors, okay, wherein they do not get the benefits. and yet they face the difficulties with menstruation, maternity. To this, neither of us have an answer. Each one has their own, each sector, okay, corporate has a different answer, or unregulated sectors in your formal industry itself have different answers. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, it does put the toll on, okay, the section which is getting hampered at large. Clear? Understood? What are the global menstrual leave policies? Countries which are implementing menstrual leave, okay, in the country, and that is in the world. First is with respect to your Spain, which became the first European country to grant paid menstrual leave to the workers. Another thing is Japan. 1947 itself they introduced that women should not be forced to work or should not be expected, either expected or forced to come to work in their menstrual days, especially first 2 days. Indonesia also introduced the same menstrual leave and amended it in 2003, stating the same thing: women in certain days of their menstrual days should not be forced to come to work. Philippines, the workers were permitted 2 menstrual leaves per month. Your Zambia, now look at this, introduced 1 day of leave per month without needing a reason or a medical certificate, calling it a Mother's Day. Okay, clear up until here? We'll move ahead. Understanding up until here? Any doubts? Anything you're not understanding? Yes? Shall we move ahead? Karnataka High Court quashes POCSO proceedings with a caveat. What is it? Look at this. Look at this scenario. High Court quashed proceedings under Protection of Child from Sexual Offences Act, okay, against a 23-year-old man accused of raping a minor who he subsequently married. Like we discussed previously, on paper everything can belong to black or white, but on reality you cannot just box things up into categories, okay. That will be what your High Court is trying to do in this particular verdict. Look at this. A 23-year-old man was accused of raping a minor and he subsequently got married to her. So, they quashed this POCSO, which means you are not supposed to engage in any kind of, okay, sexual indentations with a minor. Who is a minor? Someone who is below 18 years of age. They are defined as children or minors. They quashed this. If at all you engage in any sexual activity or any sort of activities which hurts the dignity, okay, or safety and security of the child, then you are liable to be prosecuted under Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. But your High Court went ahead and cancelled that, but with a caveat. What and why? The question arises. First, what is a caveat? It will allow the criminal proceedings to be reviewed if the man abandons his wife and child in the future. He committed this offence. Now they have stopped it, okay, from proceeding further. But in case in further, if because now this fellow has married that child, in case in the future if he abandons his wife and child, then again criminal proceedings can be put on him. He will be again, okay, charged with the criminal proceedings. So, with a safety net they have told. The question here was, why? Why did they allow this to happen? Reason was, the accused and the victim were apparently in love, and the crime was reported after the families had agreed to the marriage. And second thing, like I told, not everything can be put in a box and said this is right, this is wrong. They are trying to look at the vulnerability of the victim and the child. Okay? And also there was a condition or likelihood of the victim turning hostile. And one thing, ground realities and prolonged agony, meaning there are a lot of key players involved here. Okay? The ground realities are, if you are going to expose both the mother and child to constant battle, okay, it is not fair on either one of them. Yes. So this creates additional, okay, burden for already tough situations. So to make sure their lives don't get disrupted, but at the same point of time make sure they have a future protected in the sense, if in case the dude leaves, he will again be put with criminal proceedings. So this is the reason why your High Court thought about this and did. Understood? Let's see what is your POCSO Act, or Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. It is a legal framework which protects children from offences of sexual assault, sexual harassment and pornography. Okay? Another main aim is protecting and safeguarding the interest of the child at every stage of judicial process and making the judicial process child friendly. This is very important. Okay. What are the salient features of the Act? The Act is gender neutral for both children, girl as well as a boy. Provision for special courts is there, okay, wherein trial, camera, etc. everything can be done without revealing the identity of the child. Another thing is timely disposal of cases. Again, when you say child friendly, it also has to be making sure that they are not put into constant battle of, yeah. So a child sex abuse case must be 1 year, okay, 1 year of the date of offence that is reported. Fine. But there are certain criticisms in that. What are those? Definition of a child. Understand? Here legally we recognize anyone below 18 years of age is a child. But the question that arose was, there are multiple scenarios where, okay, where a 38-year-old person was raped. Physically that person is 38, okay, but mentally that person is only 6-year-old, meaning mentally, okay, disturbed or mentally affected people, they are not considering. So here if you are going to consider child, is it just physically or mentally? The Act only considers it physically, but now that criticism is raised, you have to also consider mental age. Understanding? This is one of the main criticisms associated with the Act. Another thing is issue with the consent. The law presumes all sexual act with children under the age of 18 is a sexual offence. Let us assume now two adolescents who engage in sexual act also will be tried under the same Act. And for that, the parents who are unapproving of it will also be the ones who will file the case. Understanding? So this is one of the main criticisms. The POCSO Act was amended in 2019, okay, which increases the minimum punishment including death penalty. Initially death penalty was given when the rape was committed on girls below 12 years of age, but now that includes children below 12 years of age, which means it also includes boys. Understanding? And also they have made provisions to counter child pornography, okay, And one more main thing is it defines what child pornography is. Fine? Clear up until here, no? Any doubts? Anything you haven't understood? We'll move ahead. The next topic is Supreme Court to hear landmark case of right to be forgotten. What and why? Again, from the current affair perspective, right to be forgotten in India is similar to the concept of right to erasure in European concept. What is this right to be forgotten? Let's say an individual views that there are certain information about the person, whether there are certain information or data about the person which is no longer valid or outdated, then he can ask for removal of that particular data. Fine. An individual who has his information or data in the public medium, again public medium is pretty much where all your data are held in different forms. If he feels that it is not valid or outdated, he can ask for removal of it. So, somewhere in a way the individual has more access to control of his or her personal data. Yes or no? So, when an individual has more access to control his or her personal data, then somewhere the right to privacy will come in. Now, the question also arises, does this right to be forgotten be included in right to privacy? If so, then does it form a main aspect in your right to life or your Article 21? This raises the question. Understanding? Understood? Clear? Yes, no, something? I need answers from you guys. Done? Clear up until here? We'll move ahead. Okay. See, to answer this question again, if it is your personal data, okay, which is not having anything to do with any court records, punishments, or something that is meant for public use, that can't be erased or removed. Okay. We will see further. The concept of right to be forgotten means it allows individuals to remove their personal data from search engines and other online platforms if it violates their right to privacy or if it is no longer relevant, like we discussed. Okay? Let us see the origin of it. The origin of it was in May 2014, the Google Spain case, okay, where the court ruled that the search engines must remove outdated or irrelevant data upon request. Understanding? So, the concept of a right to be forgotten or right to erasure comes in. Based on the same interpretation in India, how it is Justice S.K. Hall in his concurring opinion acknowledged that right to be forgotten allows individual to remove personal data. And also whenever we are going to be speaking about right to privacy, we have to mandatorily speak about your Justice Puttaswamy case. Which state that right to privacy is intrinsic to your right to life, or Article 21. Yes. So, presently we do not have an interpretation where we state that if an individual claims it has to be removed, it has to be removed. It comes with a condition where if it is with respect to any of your record, judicial record or public record which was meant for its use, you cannot ask to remove that. Understanding? Clear up until here? We will move ahead. Next is right to shelter. Clear? Let us see what was the topic that brought right to shelter into news. Supreme Court called for a balance between developing railway infrastructure in Haldwani, Uttarakhand, and fundamental right to shelter for people accused of illegally occupying railway land. Understanding? One of the basic things that makes a being human is a shelter. Food, shelter, basically roof over your head. If you remove the roof over your head, okay, and let people live there, live here, live on forest, you do not have the concept to a home, how different are they from animals? Here the question is not about if you remove the roof, if you remove the concept of a roof for people, then you are removing the human. You are putting on leaving only the being. Yes. So, this invokes a very moral question. You are going to do a developmental activity. We are a welfare state. What are you doing it for? For the welfare of people. So, you are doing some activity for the welfare of people while you are removing the welfare of certain people who are calling it their homes. Your court clearly clarified telling that, see, this is not a move that we are taking to support encroachment. Or even for a matter of illegal encroachment for that matter. It is not that we are supporting any encroachment, but what we are telling is we are looking at the people, okay, and making sure that they also should have some answer. Because at the end of the day, you are telling you are doing for the betterment of people, then you better have to do something for the people. What can be done? You make an alternate, no, for this kind of people. Provide an alternate scenario. Provide a situation where they can get a housing and then tell them to move, which is habitable. Again, you provide housing means which is habitable under human conditions, and then tell them to move, then that is more better. Rather than throwing people out of that place, they are already not having any places, why they are there. From there also you are going to evict them and throw them out. Where exactly will they go? So, where exactly is the right to life, or where exactly is the welfare of that people, and who exactly is going to look after that if not you? That you is the state. Yes. Today's topics are all somewhere lined up in a matter like how we discussed. It is not just a yes or no issue that you box it up and file it accordingly. Okay, these all involve your human emotions. Okay, which is very difficult in a reality. Ground reality is different from what you see from your books, case studies, papers. Yes, anyways, UPSC aspirants should have You know, people say ethics paper, empathy, all those things have to develop. How would you develop if you are not even able to have a clear hindsight or approach into the topic that happens in ground level realities? Yes, empathy cannot be generated from reading few books. Understanding? Me telling have empathy, empathy is not going to generate empathy in you. Right? So, we will move ahead. Clear up until here? So, what are the ethical considerations regarding evictions? A right to a secure home is a fundamental right under your Article 21, which says a right to life. But what kind of a right to life? A right to life with dignity, or a right to dignified life. Understanding? Marginalized groups, okay, alternate solutions are not there, support services are not there, okay. Because of all these things, it becomes a very difficult decision to take. Like we said, okay, we are a welfare society, we are living in a mixed economy, okay. Your, okay, wealth generation, income generation or development of people should go hand in hand, right. So, if you see with respect to slums, Maharashtra, Mumbai ka slums pe, you are telling you want to remove slums, so then give an alternate source for them, habitable conditions for them, then you expect I am going to remove slums. You are telling, pandemic times pe people living in slums were the one who got affected highly. Yes, they are not having any source, so you provide an alternative. You are not alone able to do it, then you will use collaborations. Okay, you are a state, you are a welfare state, right? Now this is not about slamming state. This is not about slamming any government. They are all trying to do the best we can, but what we are trying to tell is, if we are a welfare state, the difficulties are going to be as complex as it gets. We have to find a solution. We are not able to do it on our own. We will try to partner. We are not able to partner with the people of our state, our country, then we will bring in from the foreign support. We will bring in the foreign aid. We will bring in the NGOs. So basically, our end goal is reach a solution. Okay, reach a solution to make sure that right to a secure home is visualized as a fundamental right. Fine? Clear up until here? Any doubts? Anything you didn't understand? So, what are the judicial verdicts with regard to right to shelter? Olga Tellis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation, slum dwellers filed a PIL against eviction without alternate accommodation. So, the judgment spoke about eviction breached the right to livelihood, okay, and emphasized state's duty to secure adequate means of livelihood and avoid depriving people of their rights. Okay. On the same thing, Sudama Singh versus your state of Delhi pe, any eviction must include adequate compensation or alternate accommodation. Okay, you can't just throw people out. So, what are your government initiatives to provide shelter? Okay, see now if you see as a whole, instead of going through each scheme, the overall viewpoint of the scheme is mainly provide financial assistance to people to visualize this, a shelter. Okay, what are those? Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana or your housing scheme. See again, like we discussed about your census and all, yeah, we need adequate data to make sure that we disperse the goods and resources, limited goods and resources that we have in a more, okay, well utilized manner. Fine. National Urban Housing Fund, National Rural Livelihood Mission. Again here we are speaking about housing and livelihood is coming. How? You first give them a livelihood or a job, okay, so that they can earn and then they can put a shelter on top of their head. Again, we have limited resources. How well we utilize this limited resources or judicious usage is the need of the hour now more than ever. So if we try to use that, we will be able to deal this. Yes, Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana or your National Urban Livelihood Mission, Slum Rehabilitation Authority. Okay. Look at this. How we are going to balance your development projects and right to shelter, alternate housing options, lawful and just evictions, community development, long term urban planning. Yeah, understood? Clear up until here, no? We'll move to the next topic. Supreme Court of India, okay, on taxation of mineral rights. Presently, what brought this into current affairs? A 9-judge bench clarified the extent of authority of both Parliament and states over mineral royalties. Okay. In 1989, a Supreme Court, okay, in a 7-judge bench ruled that central government holds primary authority over mining regulation under Mines and Minerals Act of 1957 and its entry into the union list. Which one? The mines. And the state's powers were restricted in collecting royalties but not permitted to impose additional taxes. This was the 1989 ruling. Fine. 2004 pe they reviewed that 1989 ka ruling, okay, where a 5-judge bench suggested a typographical error stating that royalties might not be classified as taxes. Okay. Presently in 2024 pe the 9-judge bench overruled its judgment and stated that royalties on minerals are not taxes under your MMDRA Act, okay, which will now mean the power to levy on taxes on mineral rights reside with the states and Parliament can impose restriction to prevent interference with mineral development, but cannot directly tax mineral rights. Understanding? Now, the state authority is more prevalent. We kept on speaking royalty and tax, royalty and tax. What is royalty? It originates from an agreement between two parties compensating for rights and privileges, whereas a tax, it is imposed under a statutory power without a direct benefit for the payer, but rather it is enforced by the law and it is used for your public purposes. Okay? Clear up until here? Now, what is the potential of this ruling? It might lead to legal uncertainty of the economic impacts. Why? Because see, mineral policy, okay, or mineral pricing has to be uniform throughout the country, but now if it is under the state's purview, it might lead to, okay, it might lead to differences and a uniformity cannot be expected. Again, this is a potential cause, could be. Understanding? According to your Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957, it states that mining industry, conservation of minerals, and enhanced transparency, efficiency in mineral exploitation should be there. Your 2023 amendment, okay, speaks that on critical minerals restrictions have to be removed, okay. More specifically, restriction on 6 minerals were removed, okay, so that they could be allowed for exploration. And also one main thing is to bring in the concept of transparency, okay. They said exclusive auctioning, okay, exclusive auctioning of the minerals concessions for critical minerals has to be done. Why? Again, for transparency. The very next topic that we will be discussing is, see, we have all heard of agitations for new state, the whole point of linguistic state agitation, which is what led to a State Reorganization Act. Based on your Fazal Ali Commission. The State Reorganization Act was again based on the agitation of the people. You Potti Sri Ramlu, you would have heard of this, died on a hunger fast, hunger strike, asking for a separate state of Andhra Pradesh. So agitations of people are common, not to be overlooked, but it is common and prevalent. Why? Because their aspirations are not met, or because certain regions are left into backwardness. For example, the same Andhra Pradesh is now bifurcated as Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Yes. Again, why? What are the reasons they claim? Because the people of that particular region's aspirations are not met. There is prevailing backwardness there. So people feel like, no, probably we belong like a separate group, separate zone. So only people from us will be able to understand our plight. On similar terms, there is a rising demand for Bil Pradesh state. What is this? Bil Pradesh. From your bills. Who are these people? They are one of the oldest tribes in India. They are of your Dravidian racial group. They belong to your Australoid tribal category and they speak Bili, which is of Dravidian origin. Okay. Now these people, okay, are asking for Bil Pradesh state is not new. It is there or prevalent from your British times itself. To be more specific, somewhere around 1913s onwards. When they fought for independence during the British times, they were led with where the British tried to suppress them, and almost up unto your 1500 people, the Bills, lost their lives under your British trying to control this. Now again the Bil Pradesh agitation has resurfaced. Again, why has it resurfaced? One of the things, they are distributed among different states in different districts, and also one main thing is backwardness. The thing is, this is a tribal group, which means, for example, your 73rd and 74th amendment cannot be just like that applied. So your PISA has to be applied. Yes. Now this PISA also, all this has left them like there is no authority which is suitable for their livelihood, for their manner of living. Okay. So group themselves. Okay. For this reason they are wanting the separate Bil Pradesh. We will see the specifics. According to your 2011 census, they are distributed in Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Rajasthan and Maharashtra. Okay. They are almost distributed in all of the districts here. They are asking a regrouping and wanting a creation of Bil Pradesh near more of your Rajasthan region. The religion they follow, they are primarily Hindus who worship forest deities, evil spirits, Lord Shiva, Durga. Yes. What is the reason for their demand? Cultural and linguistic unity, historical and cultural ties, political and administrative failures. This is what I told you. Yes, 73rd and 74th Amendment cannot be applied here, so PISA should be put in, but PISA is operating act on it. Possible issues might be, it might lead to potential fragmentation, because it is a tribal issue. This thing if we do, it might rise from all the other tribal areas also. The unity of India gets affected, political resistance in that particular regions and also social divisions might aggravate or increase. Okay. Let us see other regions which are demanding for separate states. One is your Vidarbha, which comprises of your Amravati and Nagpur divisions in your Maharashtra. State Reorganization Act itself had recommended creation of Vidarbha as with Nagpur as the capital, but it wasn't done. Another thing is your Bodo land, specific to northern Assam. Okay. Where the government of India, Assam and your Bodo Liberation Tigers Force all agreed in creating autonomy to this region, Bodo land territorial region, but they did not create a complete statehood. Rather, autonomy to this region was just given. Similarly, like this, we have issues, agitations coming for separate statehood like Gorkha land, Kuki land, Mithila. Yeah. So, what could be done to resolve these issues? First and foremost, strengthening national integration. Your National Integration Council should be playing a proactive role and should play a proactive role in to make sure that they integrate the states. Only creation of states alone is not going to solve the problem. Yes, you have to. Why are they asking for a separate statehood? Again, like we discussed, they do not feel that that region is represented adequately, their language is not represented adequately, or political or administrative difficulties are there. So, you have to address those issues. Yes, if you have to address those issues, then probably the want for a separate statehood would not be there if you approach their issues in a holistic, complete manner. Another thing is you set up high powered committees, empower local governance. We again spoke, no, PISA Act ka slow recommendation, slow formation. So, make it in a fast track manner, timely manner. Finance and resource utilization, this is one of the very important things. Okay, offer them special packages, economic developmental programs, regional dialogue mechanism, and you make sure that you strive towards cultural preservation. Understanding? These are very important to be followed. Clear up until here? Yes? Any doubts? Hope you have understood the topic. We have come to the end of the segment. Okay? I am hoping you are understanding. Yes? Hoping that we can keep continuing these sessions, and I am looking forward to having more of these sessions with you. If you do have any issues, if you do want to us to include any other topics in the live, okay, do comment it down in the comment section below. Okay. So, this is brought to you by your faculty Sushma. We have come to the end of session. If you do like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button and share it along with your friends. Okay. Thank you guys.